So many people have been waiting for years to play the new chapter for the legend that is Kingdom Hearts. Some have waited 13 years, others may have waited since they last played 2.8 mix, and maybe some people just wanted to jump into something new and see where the venture will take them. Now there are going to be some spoilers in this review, so here's a chance for you to not watch it, but if you really want to see the video, buckle up because it's going to be a wild ride.
In order to defeat Xehanort, there are allies we must gather.
Now most fans have waited for years for the release of this game and had to sit through countless waves of off-branded sequel names and remastering. You are finally able to grasp the third installment only to be met with the bitch you fought edition of the story. At first I laughed to myself because I thought, hey look, Square Enix knows how to continue an ongoing joke, and that's all it was. Most things to me was an ongoing joke. Before I started playing the game again, I wanted to give myself a little memory jog due to remembering it being kinda confusing. But after watching this video 3 times, I finally, just finally, understood it. The joke is even acknowledged by Riku and King Mickey while they're having a conversation and saying, hey, why are we doing this? And then they tell the story on small flashbacks as if it's just a game. It's so meta to the point that even the game knows what the story is like. Sora gets so lost, even he doesn't even know what the story is anymore. Finally, when you get some people around Master Yen Sid's crib, everyone is like, oh my god, don't I know you from somewhere? Bitch, get the fuck out. No way, get out of town. Shit, man, it's been about a minute.
See? Major brain ache.
This game just seems to be mocking me, as if I won't be able to understand the story. So they slowly keep force feeding it to me. Like, it kinda gets annoying after a while. There are some small cutscenes that progresses me through the story a little bit more, but once you finish the last world in the game, boom, you are hit with back-to-back content, which makes me go wall to wall with enjoyment. There are so many boss fights to the point where I would say the game has just started to get interesting, even when the dialogue seems Like seriously, if you never met your friend for 10 years, why would the first thing you say be good morning?
Good morning, Ven.
Good morning, Aqua.
They sound like the Namco opening from Tekken. Every world you go to, it feels like the same scenario keeps happening. Organization person shows up and says some wild ass shit. Sora's like, you want a piece of me, eh? Organization guy leaves, and you have to fight the monster that they have created or possessed. At least I finally get to see most of the storylines conclude, and the game gives you something to hang on to, with which I'm sure gave people mixed opinions about the game, especially the people who haven't played all of the previous titles, so you will be more confused. Some characters weren't even flushed out to be characters in the game. For some reason, Kairi, one of the most important people in the game, has her story done in a few cutscenes, trained off camera, and boom, she's back to being a damsel in distress. That's when you're like, are you being fucking serious?
Be your guiding key.
The Unreal Engine sure can make the most surreal things look like the things I have watched and brought them into the palm of my hands to make me feel like the places are alive and breathing. The sceneries that you see in the game can just make your jaw drop. I love the way how things are animated. If you get shot with fire, you launch yourself into the air and you scream. The way characters freeze with any blizzard move, and then you get into some moments where I feel the engine was just having a day off. Certain cutscenes make the character models a little You start to see that there's no Final Fantasy characters, which sucks because they were all in the core games before, and now they're all reduced to is a simple Moogle shop and a castle that you make out of blocks. And then somehow they redeem it. They bring me back in with a great transition of here's the cutscene, now prepare yourself for some combat. Although I do miss the good old shaky cam experience. Sometimes it's just not even about trying to rush and finish the game. There are collectibles in the game that keep you coming back, with mini games happening in many worlds. Catch a movie as if you're part of Steamboat Willie, play games on your phone. Did I mention that Sora has a phone? He's now got a phone and he still doesn't know how to use it properly, and that's something. You can fight these battle spheres that pop up in certain parts of the map to get more items and some intel to learn more about the storyline in the game. But you gotta beat these things, and to get them, it ain't easy. Read about the enemies, read more on the story. There are endless ways of actually doing things in this game. So if you are a collect addict in this game, This is for you. What I am truly happy about is the camera angle. In previous games you were mainly fighting the camel, which added more difficulty to the game. Thankfully, they just pushed the camera out a little, easing it off you and the tight corners in the game. But there is one thing I do want to say. Don't you ever make me pick up crabs ever again.
You must regain all the strength you have lost.
Sora's mission in this game is for him to remember how to do the power of waking, and on his journey he has to use his Keyblade to get rid of, you know, the bad guys. Now in previous games you had your Keyblades and your drives that make you switch up the playstyle of your gameplay, which was good, but clearly some guy was out there and was like, why don't we combine both together, and bam, you got your original Keyblade, and then you go into your second form and then you stun them with your combo and you can continue your combo, making it everlasting. The ever after Keyblade, when you transform, that shit turns into a wand and you start sliding around and hitting foes. When you dodge, you leave after images of yourself, and when you start shooting your magic, every last image of it just shoots the projectiles. Your final move, you sap Mount Gagazet and it fires a beam of light around the area. The favourite deputy, about to give people the come on and slam with raw strength and screw your whole life up with a rocket that doesn't explode. As for me, the personal favourite has got to be the Happy Gear. The in-your-face claws just jumping onto you like a Wolverine, tearing your body from limb by limb. And guess what? I'm gonna toy around with your body and throw it up and down with my yo-yo, and at the end of it all, I'm gonna just use clamps. Now there are some reused Keyblades with just different stats, but I still haven't even tried to make the Ultimate and done all the other Keyblades yet. Then you get Homeboy thinking it's acceptable to call upon the universe to summon a Blaster Dodgem. He brings up the Carousel, he summons a Splash Canyon to have a fun time like it's some sort of game, throws Goofy in the air and fuck around a little, shoots fireworks with Donald in the area, you know, just to fuck around a little, summons a pirate ship and that shoots out water just to fuck around a little. You could summon a choo-choo train to do a drive-by, and that's a fuck around a lot. When you're so close and finally on the brink of death, you activate your second life feature, which brings Evanescence, your life up. I love how I can cast Blizzard on the floor and slide on the ice just to hit people in the face with it. I love using water to extinguish out the fires or fire-based opponents. Now with all that, you gotta think to yourself, damn, well, the power of waking must be one hell of an ability if you can do all of that. Sadly though, with all these amazing stylish movesets in the game, they made it way too easy to beat anything. Do I look smooth slicing my way through multiple foes? Of course, but that brings nothing really challenging or any downside to any style of play that I'm doing. I remember struggling on the first Kingdom Hearts due to the way I managed my character, which gave me unique ways to try and tackle every boss, whereas in Kingdom Hearts 3, it's a simple cakewalk, and the only true fight I felt was close to being a good boss in the normal worlds was going against Davy Jones, and that was most fun I can get until the last quarter of the game. And that last quarter of the game, that truly does put you to the limits to see if you are a true Keyblade master that you seek out to be. It's kind of sad that they sacrifice technical gameplay for the, ooh, let me just bring out this super ability and now you're dead. I wish that there wasn't so many ways for you to stay alive, which also the barrier of being able to die feels very absent. You've got Donald with Cure, your own curing ability, potions, your dark form, you can summon any Link character, and if you somehow still die, you can collect these Koopa coins to say, hey man, I just got way ahead of myself, let me just shrug it off so we can continue this fight. What I have always loved about Square Enix games is that if the gameplay lets me down, I'm sure that I can rely on the music, so when the title screen shows and it starts showing a sketched out version of Sora eating a pawpaw fruit, and the piano gently brings in the title screen of Kingdom Hearts to the screen, and gently the background you hear the waves crashing onto the shore of Destiny Islands, which each passing second you can hear the music keep on running with a progressive crescendo, adding more instruments over time and gradually taking you to a place that I can feel warm inside my heart. You spent years growing with this young boy and many of his friends, and you can hear that no fucks were given. You can feel it through the emotions of music, and that's why I love Square Enix when it comes to music, because quite simply, they really do give a fuck. Some of the new music they have brought are songs from the films, but you can easily see which songs they liked or didn't really care for.
Years passed and we barely ever saw each other. Then, finally, it was time for her coronation.
With them bringing back classic songs from previous games and nice jingle to the new worlds, I can say the music will always be there for me in their games.
Did I mumble, Mother?
It's always nice to have original voice actors just to be there, to hear Hayley's voice as Sora and to mature a little bit more with Sora's age growing over the past few games. It makes me feel like I grew up with the character. You will always have that weird way how the game plays out the dialogue between characters, and then sometimes it flows like they are having an actual conversation. If you are new to this, they probably sound like robots, but believe me, this is how I have known them to have actual dialogue. Sure, they should have improved on this by now, but maybe they wanted to keep it like this as a staple in the game. Let's not forget that due to this being close to being an anime, you have to get the stable head nod and grunts off to show that you understand and show what was hard to be withheld off. Some of the delivery from the characters just make you feel like a sudden emotion has come from them.
Sorry, boss. No one axes Axel.
Do you hear that? Those are the sudden screams of an Axel fan out there, and they are willing to quote that line. What would have made me scream was if the original actor of Phil came back and said something, but it's okay. It's not too important, I understand. Kingdom Hearts 3 was set up to feel like a finale, but 3/4 of the game makes you feel like nothing is happening and you're still lost on what is your mission, even though you know what your mission is. You keep saying it, hey, this is my mission. The last quarter of the game does amazing back-to-back missions that make me want to rush and do it all again. I wish it was a little bit harder, compared to the previous titles of the games, but I enjoyed playing the living hell out of this game. Yes, I did say that most of these things were bad in the game, but to me, I had a blast playing them. Some things were repetitive, but it was great to go against Voldemort and his Death Eaters. I give Keyblade Hero 3 a 3 out of 5. It was fun to play and easy to play for new players, but for them to understand the story it was kinda hard, and easy for the old players to understand the storyline, but may find the gameplay more gimmicky. That secret ending is telling me more real shit is about to happen, but I can't understand what, so I'm gonna have to wait another 13 years for the next sequel.